So I just watched the season 2 finale of The Rings of Power and oh my goodness, it was so incredibly good. It was packed with critical moments that weave together personal sacrifice, redemption, and of course shows us the corrupting influence of power and how much it threatens the future of Middle-earth. Each of these themes resonates with key biblical ideas. You always have to remember that Tolkien, as a faithful Catholic, wanted his faith to infuse his stories. And it all brings so much more depth to the story's unfolding events. It's my job to take a closer look with you at these pivotal moments in this episode and connect them with all these religious undertones. I'm Father Roderick, I'm a priest and I'm a geek, and I'm here to share with you the deeper layers of the stories that you love. So let's start with Durin III's redemption. At the beginning of this episode, we see this confrontation between Durin IV and his father, Durin III. He is still the leader of Khazad-dûm, but he is consumed by the power of the ring, obsessed with the mountain's riches. And we see the ring's corrupting influence as Durin III's face is damaged, is disfigured almost, a visual symbol of the spiritual toll that the ring has taken on him. In this moment, Durin IV pleads with his father, asking him to find the strength to take the ring off and to save himself. This interaction mirrors the biblical themes of temptation and salvation in the same way that the Bible warns us time and again of the destructive lure of wealth and power. Durin III is caught in a battle for his soul. His initial resistance reminds us of the human struggle to let go of sin and temptation. But just when it seems that the ring's power will consume him and the price that everyone will have to pay, the unleashing of this horrible monster, this Balrog in the depths of Khazad-dûm, at that crucial moment, Durin III does something remarkable. He acknowledges his son's strength, calls him king, and jumps at the Balrog, sacrifices himself to confront this monster and to keep it at bay. This act of sacrifice is deeply redemptive. Durin III gives his life, no longer for riches, but to save the dwarves. His choice to value his son and his people over the treasure that had almost consumed his heart echoes the selflessness of Christ on the cross, who sacrifices himself out of love. The redemptive power of this act brings to mind another famous scene. And as a Star Wars fan, I immediately thought of that. And that is the moment that Darth Vader saves Luke in The Return of the Jedi, just as Darth Vader's love for his son triumphs over the Emperor's hold on him. Durin III's love for his people overcomes the ring's grip. His death, though tragic, is an act of atonement, showing that there is always hope for redemption, no matter how far one has fallen. And this is a recurring theme in this entire episode. And it is true for any creature in the world of Tolkien, even, at least theoretically, for Sauron himself. Let's talk about the stranger's temptation. Another key scene is the confrontation between the stranger, and we still don't know at the beginning of this episode who he really is, nor does he know it himself. But he now faces his nemesis, the Dark Wizard. And this wizard seems to know so much more about the stranger than he knows himself. And he speaks of these 5 beings that were sent to Middle-earth, and the stranger is one of them. And he offers the stranger, if he joins him, knowledge, tempting him with answers about his past and also his destiny, his fate. The scene is a clear parallel to Satan's temptation of Jesus in the wilderness that we read in the Gospel according to St. Matthew. The wizard promises power and knowledge, but it is a trap. It's a trap. His true nature is revealed when he says, pity, whoops, wow, I almost fell. His true nature is revealed when he tells the stranger, pity will not defeat Sauron. And this line is a direct rejection of one of the central messages in Tolkien's works, namely that pity, compassion, and mercy are the very things that lead to Sauron's downfall. In The Lord of the Rings, Bilbo's pity for Gollum and Frodo's decision to spare him ultimately results in the destruction of the One Ring and the downfall of Sauron. Here, the wizard's dismissal of pity reveals his alignment with evil. The stranger, however, refuses the dark wizard's temptation, standing firm in his commitment to protect the innocent and the weak. His use of magic to defend the hobbits from harm reminds us of the power of good to overcome evil. And that, of course, is key to the Bible. The stranger's gaze at the stars at the end of this whole sequence hints at his celestial origins and maybe his divine calling. It also evokes the divine guidance that are often sought by characters when they look up to the heavens to find their true path. Think of the Magi. And then we go to Numenor, and we witness Pharazôn's deception and the persecution not only of Miriel, but of everyone who is faithful to her. Over in Numenor, Pharazôn spreads false information, accusing Queen Miriel of colluding with Sauron. This act of deceit is reminiscent of the false accusations leveled against prophets and righteous leaders in the Bible. Pharazôn's ambition and desire for power align him with biblical figures like King Saul, who lost his way through pride and jealousy. Pharazôn's manipulation of the people of Numenor serves as a warning about the dangers of listening to false prophets and those who use lies to further their own agendas. And let's face it, this is something that is still very much part of the world in which we live today. Meanwhile, Miriel's steadfastness in the face of persecution reflects the biblical example of strong leaders, strong women, strong men, like Moses, who faced opposition but still remained faithful to his calling. And so did many other great men and women throughout history. Then, of course, we want to know what happens to Celebrimbor. And we witness the prophecy that he pronounces about the fate of Sauron, but we also see the cruelty of Anatar's wrath. At the siege of Eregion, we witness a brutal scene as Anatar, Sauron in disguise, tortures Celebrimbor in the same way that he said that he was tortured by Morgoth. He's perpetuating the evil and the pain that was inflicted upon him. It is so deeply, deeply tragic. And so he is shooting arrows and then he twists the arrows to make Celebrimbor suffer. But the more he tortures Celebrimbor, the more Celebrimbor becomes a martyr for the truth and speaks the truth. He finds an inner strength that we all thought was completely gone. But again, here it shows that it's never too late for someone to change his ways and to seek the truth instead of giving in to the temptation of the easy road to go. So Sauron, Anatar, is torturing Celebrimbor because he wants to know the exact location of the 9 rings. But in the midst of his suffering, Celebrimbor proclaims that one of these rings will one day destroy Sauron. Anatar, drunk on his own pride, denies this, seeing himself as their creator and master. These words are important, these terms are important, because this whole moment is steeped in biblical symbolism. Anatar's hubris reminds us of the ultimate sin against God, the sin of the angels. And there's this long tradition of Lucifer, actually, an angel, a creature, rebelling against God, rivaling the Creator, not acknowledging the fact that he is a mere creature. And the same sin repeats itself in the story in Genesis of Adam and Eve, who also think that if they eat from the forbidden fruit, they will become equal to God. And it's this pride that constitutes also the breach in trust in the relationship between God and man. And that is the heart of the drama that unfolds here in Rings of Power. Celebrimbor, in all this, stays calm. And he has an almost prophetic assurance that Sauron will meet his doom. This underscores the biblical truth that evil, no matter how powerful it seems from the outside, or at one point in time will always be doomed to fail in the end. And that gives us hope. Let's talk about Galadriel's temptation and the sacrifice that she makes. In the final confrontation between Galadriel and Sauron, we see another powerful parallel to biblical temptation. Sauron seeks to claim Galadriel's rings, hoping to corrupt her as he has done with so many others. And he's already been in her mind, so he really knows what makes her tick and what can lead to her downfall. Throughout this scene, which is extremely tense, what I noticed as a filmmaker myself was that the camera is constantly tilted. Everything is askew. And that, of course, is a visual cue that something is off balance, just as Galadriel is feeling off balance, teetering on the edge of giving in to this very, very strong temptation of Sauron. But Galadriel resists. After all, she is one of the heroes of this story. She chooses instead to sacrifice herself. She steps off the cliff. I did not see this coming, but she does anything to prevent Sauron from taking the rings, because she knows that once he has those rings, it could lead to the downfall and the destruction of the entirety of Middle-earth. And she is willing to give her life to save the lives of everyone she loves. And this is just one of those moments that are so incredibly deep, and this is a theme, a motive that is repeated in almost every other story that Tolkien tells. It's always the eucatastrophe, like this happy ending that is only made possible through sacrifice. There has to be this moment where someone is giving up power, is willing to lose their life in order to gain it and to save it, not just for themselves, but also for all mankind, for everyone in Middle-earth. Now, this willingness, of course, reflects the crucifixion and the willingness of Jesus to lay down his life for the people that he loves and wants to save. And her words to Sauron, "You want to heal Middle-earth? Heal yourself." That serves as a reminder that true healing and redemption must come from within. And if you are trying to heal the world, even if you're as powerful as Sauron, but you're unwilling to let yourself be healed, it's only going to lead to more pain and more suffering. This entire episode, this entire story that we've seen so far in The Rings of Power, all reflects a battle of souls. The finale of The Rings of Power is not just a battle for Middle-earth. It is a battle for the souls of its characters. Durin the Third, the Stranger, Galadriel, Celebrimbor, they all face moments of temptation where they must choose between power and sacrifice, between selfishness and love and selflessness. And these moments echo the central biblical theme of redemption, sacrifice, and the only way to overcome the corrupting influence of power, and that is to let go of it, to hand your life to those that want to destroy it. It's so counterintuitive to our own will to survive, but the Bible shows us that it is the only way to gain your life, is if you are willing to let it go. Ultimately, this episode asks a question that runs throughout Tolkien's work and also throughout the Bible that Tolkien grew up with as a Catholic. Will those who wield power use it for good, or will they fall prey to pride and ambition? And this is not just about kings and queens and emperors. This is a question that is asked to all of us. We all are, in a way, powerful. We have been given this life, so many talents, so many possibilities. But how do we choose to use it? For ourselves? Or are we willing to give our lives and to give everything that we've received ourselves for the benefit of all? The choices made by the characters in this story will shape not only their own fates, but the fate of Middle-earth itself. As we look ahead to the future of the series, one thing remains clear. The battle between good and evil is far from over. But as long as there are those willing to sacrifice for the greater good, there is always hope. And maybe this is why the season finale ends with this small group of surviving elves that are resting temporarily in a place that reminded me very much as the place where maybe they will start to build Rivendell. But it is a temporary shelter, because when Gil-galad takes his sword and shows it to the other elves as a sign that he is not willing to give up the fight, he's not willing to retreat, but darkness needs to be met with light. That is the message of hope that we all needed after this very tragic episode where so many things went wrong. And you could have easily told this story in a way that would have left us all feeling down and destroyed, much like a lot of the fans of Game of Thrones felt at the end of that television series. But this story, I think, chooses a way better manner to end this story, because it ends with the hope that even though evil seems to have prevailed and Eregion is completely destroyed, and so is the life of many of our heroes, yet there's always the resistance of those who choose light instead of power, who are choosing to face evil and to try to combat it, not with its own weapons, not by doing evil themselves, but by doing the total opposite of what seems to be logical, and that is to hand yourself over in vulnerability, willing to sacrifice your life, selflessness, in order to save, in order to redeem the lives of everyone in Middle-earth. I loved this season so much. I was already a fan of the first season, but this second season I think surpasses it in a way that I didn't think was possible in a television series. But the thing that blew me away the most was not the special effects, not the amazing acting, not even the insanely good music that is now my favorite soundtrack of everything that I've ever listened to. But what impressed me most was how the writers, I think, deeply understand the true message that Tolkien tried to convey when he wrote these stories about Middle-earth. This ultimately is a story that is about all of us. It is about a battle, about a fight that we all have to fight at one point or another in our lives, but also in our culture and in our history. And through the choices of these small, humble hobbits, of this weird, strange, lost wizard who is still trying to figure out what he should do, the story of all these people with their strengths but also their weaknesses, it all shows us in a mirror the possibilities of our own agency. It shows us what the right choices can mean to the world and how they can change our lives and the lives of the people that we love. Thank you so much for watching my commentary on The Rings of Power. I hope to do this for other series and other movies as well, so keep following me on my channels. And of course, take a look at fatherroderick.com if you want to see everything else that I do. Thanks again for the pleasure of your company, and we will see each other soon. Take care, and God bless.